Hey everyone, it's Claire here, and today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make interlabial pads. So to start off with, what is an interlabial pad or ILP? Basically, it is a miniature pad, if you like, usually in a petal or a circle shape, that can really help to, if you like, bolster your pad if you have a particularly heavy flow or a gushy flow. The problem with having a heavy and gushy flow is that sometimes you can leak off the wings of your pads, or you can have a gush that comes out so quickly that your pad can't absorb it quick enough. So that's when ILPs really come into their own, as they can help slow the flow down and direct it into the center of the pad where you want it, and it can be absorbed at a much slower rate. So to make your own ILPs, you don't need a lot. It doesn't take very much fabric. You will need to make yourself a template. You can use a petal or a circular shape, depending on what you would prefer. This one is 4.5 inches long by 2.25 inches wide. If you fold a piece of paper in half, measure out how long you want it to be and how wide you want your longest part, and put dots, and then just join them up, cut it out, and you will have an even petal shape like so. Then you will need a topper fabric, and this is the fabric that goes in your labia, so it is touching your skin. So you want this to be a nice soft fabric that won't aggravate you. So something here, I've got bamboo velour, you can use cotton velour, you can use bamboo fleece and have the smooth side towards your body. You can use cotton t-shirts if you're upcycling, flannel, anything nice and soft. Then you need a piece of absorbent fabric. Here I've got a piece of Zorb 2. You can use a couple of layers of flannel, hemp fleece, bamboo fleece, pretty much anything that is malleable, like so. You don't want any stiff fabrics. I know some people do use Zorb 1 for theirs, but it does make a stiffer petal. I prefer something that's got a little bit more squish to it, so that you can do some of the folds. And basically, once it's completed, it will look like this, like so. So we are going to faux serge this. So with your machine, you may have had some extra feet come with your machine, in which case you may have an overlock foot, which has 2 wires here and a brush. Often people don't really know what these extra feet are for, so they end up being left in the box. So do check if you have one. It comes in very handy for doing faux serging. Helps it stay neater, and it just makes it a bit easier. If you don't have one of these, that is no problem at all. You just can use your normal foot and the zigzag stitch. If your machine is a beginner's sewing machine that's very basic with just one stitch, and that's a straight stitch, that's no problem. What you'll want to do is put your pieces face together and stitch all the way around, leaving a gap to turn it and top stitch it to close the hole, and you will have a turned and top stitched interlabial pad. Okie dokie, let's get started. So you want to take your 2 pieces like so, line them up on top of each other, and then you can either pin or clip, depending how you want. So, and then we want to head over to our machine. Okie dokie. Okay, so what you want to do is, if you're using an overlocker foot, you want to line up the edge of your interlabial pad with the second bar, so the one closest to the outside. If you're using a normal foot, you want to line your needle up so that the needle will stitch down onto the pad and then go off the pad, back onto the pad, off the pad, and that's how you're going to do your faux serging all the way around. So let's just move that along. Select your zigzag stitch. Line up your pad like so. Now mine will automatically do a closed stitch, but if you need to go forward and back one, then you can do that on your machine. Okay, now you want to stitch all the way around. We're not leaving any gaps here. When you get back to the beginning, don't forget to finish the stitch. Like so. Okie dokie. Right, now what you want to do is trim your threads, like so, and then iron your ILP. Okay, so now we've ironed our interlabial pad, it is complete. So, some ways to use it. There are a couple of folding methods. You can fold it in half, like so, and then pop that between your labia, like that. So when the flow comes down, it will hit this, filter down, and go into the center of your pad. You can also roll your ILP, like so, to create kind of a sausage, and then insert that between the labia, and that gives you even more kind of coverage, if you like, and will slow your flow down even more if it is really, really gushy. You can also fold it in the opposite direction, which creates a slightly smaller roll but slightly thicker, and insert that between the labia. Another option, if you are really super sensitive, I mean, most people can get away with the half fold if you're sensitive, but if you really are sensitive on the first day or two of your period, you can start off by just literally laying this in the center of your pad. I think I've got one somewhere here. Here we go. So you can just lay this in the center like so, so that you've got some extra kind of coverage here and something for it to hit and slow it down and then go into the core below until you're able to actually pop it between the labia, like so. Now, one last thing to mention before we go is these little things can easily drop down the toilet. It's very easy to forget that they're in there, to pull your underwear down and sit on the loo, and before you know it, they're gone. So just bear in mind when you're wearing these, that when you take down your underwear, quickly grab it and take it out before you sit on the toilet. Otherwise, you could end up having to fish them out the loo, which is not very nice. Cleaning wise, you can use whatever wash routine you're using for your cloth pads to clean these as well. So if you're soaking in an oxygen cleaner, pop these in the bucket alongside, or sink. If you do all your washing in the machine, just pop them in the machine. They clean exactly the same way. I think that covers everything. So I hope that was helpful. That's it from me. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up below. I do have a couple of other cloth pad sewing tutorials you can check out if you'd like. and I will be back soon.